Hello, people of Earth, and welcome to another episode of the Just for Giggles podcast. I'm your host, Aubrey Friedrich, and so much has happened since I talked to you last. I feel like I say that all the time, but at the same time, it's been like 2 weeks while I've been gathering thoughts or something, or like a week and a half instead of just a week. My life better get a little bit more boring. Imagine I started maybe I should start vlogging my life or making videos out of funny little experiences of mine. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Starting off strong, everybody is posting pictures of 2016, on, excuse me, pictures of them in 2016 on social media. And as much as I want to participate, I was all of 9 and 10 years old in 2016 and I didn't have a phone. So I have nothing in my camera roll. So unfortunately, the world may never see that. I have a couple pictures of me as a child, but other than that, I got nothing. But I was laying in bed one night, just trying to fall asleep, and I was thinking about this just concept, and I was like, remember when we all called things chuggy instead of cringe? You know what I'm saying? I was like, that word itself just made me uncomfortable. It was gross. Does anybody else agree? I was just like, ugh. Anyway, I know for a fact, unless things have changed, that my mom watches these episodes. Hey mom, how you doing? But the other day, I was eating breakfast and my dad comes out of the bathroom and he says something to me, and it was a quote of something I said in one of my episodes. And I just started laughing because I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know you watched them," because he's a busy guy. Also, hey dad, if you're watching this one. And then for the next couple of days, because it started with him wanting to watch the episode of Avery and I from a couple weeks ago. And I was like, no, dad, that one doesn't come out until next week. You gotta wait. And then he watched that, and then he started watching a couple more, and I was just like, oh, oh. So then he started quoting things, or he'd be like, oh, I watched that one. Yeah. And I love the support. I don't know if I don't think my brother watches them, but that's okay because it's my brother. And my sisters, a lot of these are just life updates, and they hear the updates as they go. So they might watch the episodes where some of my friends are in it, but it's okay because as far as I know, they support me in this endeavor anyhow. So, but even as a general rule, people will bring this pod up to me when I'm just out in public, and then it takes me a second to realize what they're talking about because they'll reference something that either I said or I did in one of the episodes, and I'll be like, wait, and I'll start laughing because I was like, I can't believe like because I'm not getting recognized for it in particular. They just bring up this little side quest of mine that I participate in every week, and it makes me giggle. So I'm glad this little small squad of us are tight. You know, while you're here, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. Click the like button. Yeah. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's grow the fam. Let's yeah. Let's do it. Anyway, I was on TikTok the other day, and it all started cuz he showed up on my For You page. His name is Mr. Jan. He's a high school history teacher in Texas or something. And it started with him sharing crazy things that his students said to him, and I was like, this is really funny, so clicked follow so I could continue to see them. And then January rolled around, and he was like, for every day in January, because Mr. Jan, something something something, donating money to St. Jude, posting every day, and it was Wartime Wednesday, so he'd give you an unknown history fact. And I learned the craziest story about, I believe it was World War II, because I'm not that good of history. I'm pretty sure it was World War II. If it wasn't World War II, then it was World War I. But the Polish army found this little tiny bear while they were doing, I don't know, whatever it is that they were doing. And they like welcomed him in. He was like their little mascot for the time being. And they named him Wojtek, Wojtek. I don't know what it means anymore. But they would like, feed him, let him, like, he would sleep in their tents. And then at some point they had to go, like, they had to travel across the sea or something. I don't know. But the bear wasn't allowed on the military vehicle. So they did the craziest thing ever. And they literally enlisted the bear into the military. Isn't that so iconic? You just have this like 1,100-pound furry creature who could easily tear you apart in your military. But apparently there's like statues of him in a couple different places in Poland, I feel, which is iconic nonetheless. So, slay. I should have told, like, oh my goodness, this next story, it like almost kills a piece of my soul to share because it's making me really feel unk, even though I'm very aware that I am still young. But I went to go see one of the girls' basketball games because if y'all remember from like the second episode with another Aubrey, she's my bestie. So I went to go support. And I get up to the table to buy my ticket. I have my $8 ready. And they were like, because I know both of the people at the ticket table because they work at said high school that I graduated from. And they looked at me and they were like, student? And I was like, unfortunately, I'm an adult. And we all start laughing. And I was like, yeah, I know. I'm coming up on 20. And there's two old people standing next to me. And I was like, guys, I'm very aware. I'm still young. And the one of them was like, I was fully prepared to give you that $1 off because the student tickets were like $7. And the crazy thing is that wasn't the first time something like that has happened to me. Like I went to, I think it might have been, it was either a soccer game or a football game. It was during the fall. And like somebody said something about, I don't remember what the conversation was in particular or like who said what, but long story short, it was just kind of like a joke that I have to pay for an adult ticket now because I'm not a student. Oh geez, it's a fun goofy little thing. Man, really feeling ugly. And before I get any super senior accusations, I only go because my siblings are involved or old friends of mine are involved. I don't go back just for fun. Okay? Although our boys basketball team is pretty good this year. And we're ranked like first in our division, so period. We'll see what happens. Yeah. The other day, me, Maisie, and a couple of friends of ours, they're mostly Maisie's friends, I will admit, but they're all well acquainted with me. And we went thrifting to the local thrift store, and I bought this. So I'm dressed like, I don't know, like somebody who's about to coach a bunch of 7-year-olds through like a soccer championship game or something. But the whole, like, the only reason we really thought about going was, well, one, there was a buy one get one sale because they had like a massive amount of things donated. And they all really wanted to go to see all of like the formal gowns that they had because I don't know, a bunch of people were like donating their prom dresses and whatnot. They all did that. I glanced at it because I obviously knew I wasn't gonna buy one of them. And I think one of my friends actually did buy one that she's gonna like turn into a homecoming dress, like alter it. And I actually was like looking through the racks looking for actual clothes to buy, and I did leave with 3 things, and I spent a whole $2.14. Let's go. But I was glancing through the dresses, even though I knew I wasn't going to buy them. And there was this white one. And I was like, wait, this is kind of cute. And then I was looking at the back. and the back of it was like unzipped or whatever. And I was like, what the heck is this? The dress, I kid you not, lit up. Lit up. Like it had like little tiny LED packs with like little like fairy light wires that went under the, what's the word I'm looking for? Mesh. I don't know if mesh is the right word, but under the mesh material of the skirt. But there was like 20 of them that went like all the way around. And it was a size small. So we went and recruited one of the girls to go try it on. And it was just like the funniest thing ever. And I was like, guys, she looks like Lily from Modern Family from that one episode of whoever was getting married. If you know, you know. I've never actually seen the show, but I see clips on TikTok all the time. And it was iconic nonetheless. So, slay. And we already know it can't be a pod episode without me telling a work story because the craziest things always happen to me at work. Actually, they might not be that crazy, but I was doing a client's nails, and it was a client that I had never met before. And, small talk, getting to know each other or whatever. And then she mentions to me that she's in like the church choir and she also greets at church. And I was like, what church? And she says the same church that I go to. And I was like, wait, I'm in that choir too. What the heck? And she's like, well, you weren't there last night at practice, weren't you? And I was like, yes, I was. And I was like, I sit over with the other altos, behind this person, next to this person, and this person. Like, because her daughter is also in the choir. So I was like, I sit 2 rows behind your daughter. It was like I can't believe it because I think I mentioned this before. I'm the youngest person there, and there's 2 people that are like, one's like a year older than me, and then there's another that's like a year or 2 older than that, and then there's like 30 age disconnect. Like everybody is so much older, and it's just the kind of thing where like we're all adults. If you don't show up, nobody's gonna like harp on you for it, and if they do, it's as a joke. And come the first rehearsal, there was no hi, my name is, there was nothing. There was nothing. So I don't know the names of a lot of people in the choir, which is like really bad considering I've gone to that church my whole life. There's a lot of them whose faces I knew, but names I did not. I've learned a nice handful of them. Like me and the 3 other altos were tight. I keep them young. And I showed up to rehearsal on Tuesday and we were walking in and it was like a mass amount of us. Like it was probably close to 2/3 of us all just showed up at the same time. Like we were all parking and walking in at the same time. Mind you, it was like 5 degrees out, so we were all just like joking about how it's so cold. And we had to walk up to the choir loft. And the guy that I was like, because I was the first one to walk in, and I was holding the door open for the guy behind me. And he gets up to the loft eventually. And I don't know, people start talking, and he was like, yeah, I was just telling Aubrey. And I was like, okay, he knows my name, but I don't know his. This is really awkward. This is really awkward. But in some sad and unfortunate news about the choir is that right before Christmas, one of the men that I'm in choir with was walking in a Kohl's parking lot, whether it was to the Kohl's or from the Kohl's back to his car. A car ran into him pretty fast, and from what I've been told, the person driving the car wasn't under the influence or looking at their phone or anything, but she saw him coming, thought she was like hitting the brake, but she was hitting the gas, flew right into him. He flew, had like 2 brain bleeds, broke several ribs. Mind you, this guy is at least 60 years old, so he was in the hospital for a really long time. I think now he's in like the nursing home for like rehab. I'm not sure. So everybody send your thoughts and prayers that way, his way. He deserves it. Really nice guy. Everybody in the choir is really nice, even though I don't know if I have not spoken to all of them. But just as a general rule, like they're all really nice, and it's it's a great group of people. Very fun thing that I'm a part of. It's a very niche thing for something my age to be a part of. But that's fine because that's what makes me unique. Because someday the inevitable is going to happen, and all of those older people are going to pass away, and then it's going to be left with me. And who knows if I'm going to be living in this area forever. I don't know. I don't see myself moving anytime in the next like year or two. Just because obviously I don't have, because if I do move, I kind of want to move somewhere bigger. I just kind of like the prospect of bigger places. And obviously bigger places mean higher prices, and I don't have that kind of money. I don't have that kind of money. So that's life. In a more lighthearted and funny mood, the other day I was cutting Hilton's hair just over yonder, and I had Hamilton playing on her iPad on her Disney Plus because she let me use it, and I was like finishing up her haircut or whatever, like just finished it, and she was like, "Is it raining outside?" And I was like, I don't know. She's like, wait, pause that. So I go to pause it, and there is like rain sounds coming from her room. And I was like, oh, something is totally leaking. So we run into her room, and there's literally a pipe leaking in the middle of her closet. Fortunately, it didn't get like anything of importance wet. Like, it got a couple like bins wet. It got like the corner of a rug wet because the way her closet's set up is she has room, closet, bedroom. Great. Nice walkway. And it was right in the walkway. So like nothing really got wet. But we were like, oh, like that was interesting. The pipe itself wasn't broken. It just started leaking because there was an issue with the shower drain, of which is literally right above her room. So that made for a nice time to clean up. But we were just laughing about it after the fact. It was like, God just saw that our lives were getting a little too boring. So he just had to make it a little bit more interesting for us. And then Hopeland was cleaning it up, and she was like, I love how I'm the only one cleaning up, and you're just sitting there doing nothing. And I was like, me too. Me too. And in my defense, I was cleaning up a little bit, not as much as she was, but I was still helping. So back off, back off. And anyway, to wrap this episode up, I know there's a lot of you are going to be interested in this. Well, I don't know. It's more of a world encapsulating thing. But number one being, I know that I mentioned this before, but Madison Beer announced a new album, Lock It, and then she announced a tour, and I was like, slay, I'm gonna try and go. And then she announced where she was going, and I was like, well, the closest one to me is Detroit, so it's kind of hit or miss. And it was the day before pre-sale started, and I was signed up for pre-sale. Still a little bit like hit or miss as to whether or not I was gonna go, because I have a bit of a more niche music taste than a lot of the people I'm friends with. So it was a little bit up in the air. And then literally the day before pre-sale, Harry Styles and Caitlin Tarver announced the new albums. Oh my gosh. I just hit the mic, by the way. So if you heard a crazy crunch, that was my fat hand. And I was like, yeah, if Harry Styles goes on tour, I'm definitely going to try and go to that more than Madison Beer or Caitlin, because I saw Caitlin open for Big Time Rush. Plus, Caitlin is going on a tour, of which the sale is running right now. Same with Madison's tour as well. But the closest show of Caitlin's to me is Chicago, and I'm not going to Chicago. But her tickets and Madison's tickets are reasonable, obviously, because, neither of them are Taylor Swift or Harry Styles. But the thing that aggravated me the most is that Harry Styles announced a tour today, but he's going to all of 7 cities and doing 30 shows at MSG, which is doubling his previous record from like 2020-ish. I don't know. That year is definitely not correct. It might have been like 2021, 2022. I don't know, because I will admit I was not a Harry Styles fan at the time. But he's did like 15 shows there. So they like hung up a banner for him because I remember seeing it when I went on my senior class trip and we stopped at MSG for a tour. And now he's doing 30 there, which don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure all of those shows that he's doing throughout this tour are going to sell out no problem because it's Harry Styles. But what on earth? Like, what in the quote unquote world tour is that? That is barely a tour. It is still a tour. But like, he had the opportunity to create a tour that grosses almost as much as the Eras tour did, and he didn't take it. Maybe that was something on purpose. Maybe he didn't want to do something that big. Maybe he just doesn't feel the stamina or the energy to do that again. But I'm pretty sure he knows that he could create this mass thing, this phenomenon. Excuse me, because his the album announcement literally everywhere. Um, there's a new song. I don't know how to pronounce it. Aperture. I don't know how to pronounce it. I should have looked it up earlier. But that's coming out. I believe in EST at 7 p.m. tonight. And as of right now, those 7 cities are all that he's announced tour wise. Who knows if he's going to announce any more because a lot of artists add later dates in their tours. I low key really hope that Harry Styles announces more shows, especially literally all over the world, because literally lives in the UK. So you'd think you'd have more shows in Europe, and then obviously in the US and literally just everywhere else. Because don't get me wrong, I know there's people that live in like California that are gonna fly themselves all the way to New York to see him. That's not me. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Harry Styles, but I am not driving or flying myself all the way to New York to see him. So I'm not one of those crazy people. And you know what? That's fine cuz if he doesn't announce any more cities and that's it and I don't go, my wallet's going to thank me. That's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to work out. Also, the new iPhone update, I'm still trying to decide whether or not I like it because there's some things that annoy me. I might grow more of a liking to them. One thing that really annoys me though is like say I'm trying to turn my phone on, like I'm trying to unlock my phone in the dark and I do like the swipe up because I have a 13. It takes like it's not so long. Like Lord grant us all patience because we all need it, but it takes longer than it used to for the keypad to show up. And this whole liquid glass theme is kind of goofy. I'm still trying to decide if I like it, but I did pull out my camera to record and I noticed that I could film in HD or 4K and I could adjust the like frame rate or something and I was like, "Oh, that's neat. I'll give it a shot, see what happens." Which is also fun. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I got my hair cut. I got it cut yesterday. Um if you don't, if it doesn't look any different to you, that just shows that you don't have short hair because if you have a bob then there's always that itch to just go a little bit shorter and then a little bit shorter. See, I could go shorter right now, but that's a problem for like a month or two when I go back to get it cut again. So live, laugh, love. Thank you for joining me this week. Thank you for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. I love you all. You guys are so much fun. I sound like I need like a cup of coffee. Like, huh? Oh, never mind. I don't know what I was going to say. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, follow, all of the fun things. And I'll see you next week. Peace out. Cue the non existent outro.